Okay. Hi. This is Surya Ramesh
This
and
is John Ravi. Welcome to Two Brown Accents,
Two Brown
episode
Accents.
episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about food.
Food.
Exciting stuff, food.
Ooh, we eat every day.
Do you live to eat or eat to live?
Absolutely live to eat.
I used to be eat to live, but I've been really liking the food in the Bay Area.
Oh.
There's so many restaurants here. They're all like Indian, and you get some really good biryani over here.
So you like Indian food. That's what this is about.
Well, I mean, I grew up eating Indian food. I was raised like in an Indian household. Although I grew up in America, but like we had Indian food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and home cooked food too. And I grew up in North Carolina, and the restaurants over there like very limited Indian food options. So I would always like enjoy eating Indian food at home.
I know. The Bay Area is known for Indian food because
Yeah, there's
lot of Indians.
A lot of Indians over here.
Lot of
Demographic
Indians.
is yeah.
basically Indians. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess. I mean I'm the same. I grew up eating Indian food. I was in India, so obviously. But yeah, I think I had a phase where I didn't like Indian food as much, or I was trying to move away. I still used to have Indian food once a week, something like that. But I do think if you grow up eating a specific kind of food, you start enjoying it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so by no way means are we experts in nutrition or food science, but we will share what we experienced in our lifetime regarding to food.
Yes.
So like, and what you said actually resonates with me so much. I grew up eating Indian food, and I grew up as a very skinny kid. Like I had a lot of trouble gaining weight. Like I would try to exercise, so bony, until I left my house and went to college. And the key thing that changed there is my diet, right?
Sure.
So I had Indian food all the time, and then suddenly now have like a meal plan, and I'm eating only like burgers, pizza, the American food, like classic
Yeah.
American food. And I want to think like, at least in my experience, right, that change really affected my ability to like put on weight, right? So I'd keep on exercising still, but now I'm retaining a lot more, muscle and fat too.
Yeah, I had the same. I was super skinny when I was at home, and then as soon as I went to undergrad, my diet completely changed. For the first few months, it was a little weird. We'll get to that, but then my diet changed. I was just eating outside the entire time. I felt like I put on a little bit more weight. I was still skinny, but I put on more weight. Then every time I moved places, basically, my diet changed, right? Then I
Right.
came over to the US, and
Yeah.
then my diet changed again. And I put on a good amount of weight to the point where I looked not skinny anymore. And after I moved to the Bay Area here, with all of this Indian food and everything else, and I also got a car, I stopped walking as much. I put on significantly more weight.
Actually, you were in Australia for a bit, right?
Yes.
What? Talk a little bit about your Australian food. I never been to Australia or even had Australian food. Like, is it significantly different?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, they have some exotic stuff. Other than that, honestly, it feels very similar to American food. I don't know if I don't know. I mean, it's also been a while, so I don't remember. So
They don't
students
eat
take-
kangaroos.
They eat kangaroos.
They eat kangaroos.
That's what I mean by exotic food. Yeah. It was so weird to me because it's their national animal. That's what I thought it was, and then they also eat it because I guess they don't want to waste the meat or something. Is what I was told. But yeah, they eat kangaroos. I had kangaroo meat, but other than the few exotic stuff, like some kinds of meat or something like that, usually it's just burgers, fries. The usual American food. Whatever you see. That's pretty much it.
So, do you enjoy exotic meat? Like, in my experience, I feel like the most exotic meat I ever had was from someone in my PhD lab. He is from Chinese. He bought.
He's from Chinese.
He's from China. He's Chinese. He got some duck meat. I think they like eating duck over there. It kind of tastes like chicken in a way, but like something about it, like just the texture didn't feel right.
I love the texture of duck meat. I love duck just for that texture. It's wonderful. It's the best thing ever. I can't believe duck is the most exotic meat you had.
Okay. You talk about your exotic meats.
I've had a lot
Do you
more.
eat bats? Like what do you
I
eat?
have had bats
What?
actually.
Oh my goodness.
Did I tell you that before?
No, I didn't know that.
I think when I was in high school, I only had it once, maybe twice. My granny went like. Somebody came home and she was like, "Oh, this is a fruit eating bat. This is very, very healthy or whatever." And she
Okay, you do realize like after 2020, like
I know, but I guess like these are all like super. I don't know. They know what they're. It's not just something random that you just grab from a cave and
fair
eat
enough.
it, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, like 'cause-
Somebody's selling it. There's a store. It's
I mean,
more.
that's the conspiracy, right? That the coronavirus came from fruit-eating bats.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, I don't know.
I didn't get it. So I'll
It
tell
could
you that
also be
much.
from a lab. I don't.
Yeah,
we,
yeah,
we don't know. This is
honestly.
not what this podcast episode is about, anyway. But anyways,
So yeah, I've had that once or twice. I've had I think deer, venison.
okay,
yeah.
I had deer. Like
Okay.
people in North Carolina would go hunting and they would bring over the venison to my parents.
Yeah,
and they would
yeah.
put keema,
Okay, yeah.
deer keema.
I've had I've had kangaroo, as I mentioned.
Right.
I've had a I don't know if I want to say it.
No, it's okay. You have to say it now.
I've had a beef penis. There's this one restaurant in New York. It's my cousin took me there. It's this Japanese porn themed restaurant, and they serve beef penis. And then I had that. It was very flavorless. It was very just it was okay.
Well, you know what they say. You are what you eat. So
Are you calling me okay, John? Is that what you're trying to say?
I mean, it's a saying. I didn't come up with it.
But yeah, I've had alligator at New Orleans.
Oh, I've had alligator meat before too. Recently, this year,
Okay. Where do you have it at?
in Boston, I was visiting my sister, and we
Oh.
decided to try some new restaurant, and they had alligator meat over there. It's kind of expensive, but
Sure.
it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I think ever since I was a kid, it's just I've always liked meat. So whenever I see any exotic meat available somewhere, I'm always like, oh, let's give it a shot, even if it's pretty bad.
So any meat you're down to try. There's like no limits to like what kind of meat you'd.
I mean, so I'm not sure if I'm okay with insects or that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because I guess a lot of people, especially vegetarian people, say, oh, I can't eat meat because when I'm eating chicken, I imagine the chicken. So that's why it feels weird, right? I feel like I'm killing something. For
Yeah.
me, it's when I look at meat, I'm just looking at meat. This is my food. I'm not imagining a chicken. I'm not, doing that kind of stuff. But with insects, it feels a little more weird because people usually like take the insect, fry it, or just roast it, give it to you.
Ew.
You could see the insect. I guess they eat insects at a lot of Asian countries. So I'm a little scared. I think if somebody who's with me tries it, I might be able to overcome that fear. But I'm super, super like at this point, I feel like I'm not for.
Yeah, I will never try insects. That's like I am borderline. So some people think like shrimp and like prawns are also water insects.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But I think there's something to that though, right? I don't want my food to resemble living animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You start imagining. That's what I said, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm also scared of insects, so there's another.
Yeah. I have no idea how the chicken from a real live chicken becomes the chicken that I eat.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to see that process.
Yeah, I
happen.
don't want to see that as well because I feel as soon as you
And they do this in India. Actually, like they do this like they do
they
this.
kill the
they
chicken in front of
yeah,
you. Yeah.
Like they call this nati kodi,
Oh yeah.
right? That it's like organic chicken, and I am not a fan of that. It's supposed to be good for you, it's grass fed and all this stuff, right? But then I feel weird. You know?
feel like you relate to it because I don't relate to any animal, nor do I want to think about that. But yeah.
I love meat, right? And I feel
love
like
meat.
I get a lot of protein from that. But I don't like vegetables to this day, right? I grew up like that. Maybe it's because I was kind of forced when I was a kid to eat vegetables. There's some vegetables I love, right? There's
Potatoes,
well,
obviously.
yeah, potatoes, carrots, right?
I mean, I'm a little on the fence for carrots. So I'm also not a fan of vegetables. Maybe same reasons. Maybe because I was always told vegetables are healthy.
Right.
Or I saw Popeye eating spinach, so I was like, I don't like it. And like it was portrayed that it was too healthy, and I was like, as a kid, I made a decision. I was like, I do not want to be healthy. I don't care. I don't think it tastes good because as a kid, I think I directly correlated how healthy the food is to how bad the taste is. So I think I still do that, and that's why I do not like the. You distracted me. But that's why I don't like vegetables. But yeah, carrots. I am not a fan of carrots. If yeah.
Fair enough. Like I think eating healthy is good, right? I do agree eating healthy is good. And we're going to talk about this in a future episode, but I think by far working out, like staying active will trump eating healthy, right? Like I think if you can, like that's one of the reasons I work out is because that I have the liberty, like, okay, let's say I will go on like a 6-mile run, right? That day I'll have like 2 plates of biryani, drink some soda, right? Because I feel like I earned it. Right.
I do the same thing, but a lot of my friends do tell me that it's the other way around. You know, no matter how much you work out, unless you diet, you cannot get a body like whatever, like however fit you want to be or whatever your goals are.
I mean, that's definitely true, right? You can't just like not eat protein and then lift weights and expect to build muscle. Like there's certain building blocks to certain things. But there is, I mean, we can talk about working out.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah.
But this time we're talking about food, right?
Yes.
So like, do you feel like you're getting all your nutrients?
Yes. Weirdly enough, as much as I tell people that I'm not a fan of like leaves like spinach or salads or a lot of vegetables I don't eat. I only eat potatoes.
So that's carbs, right? Carbohydrates.
Yeah. Cauliflower. I do 2 more vegetables. Also difficult. I'm on the spot. But yeah,
I like okra fry.
I like okra fry.
Okra fry is so good.
Yes, it is. It is. My mom used to make it for me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I have not had it in the past few years. But I do like it.
You should learn how to make that.
I feel it should be straightforward.
It's not that hard. Like it's like a few minutes. I feel like
I don't cook that much, so that's another.
Fair enough.
That's a whole thing there. But let's say I eat 4 vegetables. I don't have carrots. I don't like carrots. I do think how do I get my carrots, right? I'm like a little kid. I can still be fooled because I understand. Like when you mix up a lot of things, when it's a curry, I don't know what went in. As long as it doesn't have the taste of spinach, if a little bit spinach was added, I'm probably okay. Don't tell me about it because if you tell me about it, I won't have it. But fried rice, take fried rice for example. People put like chopped carrots in there. I'm completely okay. I actually like the carrot part. Fried rice with carrots is good. But if I was cooking fried rice, I wouldn't add carrots because I don't like carrots. So that's why personally for myself, I think eating outside is kind of better.
Because like they'll like put vegetables in there. You don't really know what's in there.
Exactly.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I understand they add a lot of oil or other stuff that this bad stuff like that. But I do personally think that when I eat outside food is how I get a lot of my nutrients because they add so many things that they don't tell me, and that kind of helps me get everything I need, I guess. It's a very I've thought about this for so many days, so many years.
I feel like it'll definitely matter more as we get older, right? Like our diet, right? I mean, like right now we don't have any like cholesterol problems, or like vitamin deficiency.
Sure.
Maybe one day, right? We'll have to probably, and when I say one day, I mean maybe we should also look at changing some things because I feel like I'm pretty sustainable right now. I don't feel like whatever I'm doing right now is gonna lead to like something down the line.
No, yeah, 100%. I feel pretty healthy, but also I feel pretty healthy at this point. But I can definitely see that maybe in another 5-10 years, I might have to start controlling. Like, hopefully not too much, but like to an extent. Even now, take me for example. Before, zero diet control. Right now, let's say a year back, if I got a Tropicana juice, I didn't care. I just used to drink the entire bottle in a day. I have had days where I've had 2 of those bottles, right? Like 2-liter, 3-liter bottles.
Just so you're talking like a juice diet, like you just drink
Juice, but it's not fresh juice that I made. It's just bottle juice, and I had like 4 or 5 liters in a day because I didn't really care. But now I try to keep myself to more water, and then I do like the juice, right? I like the taste. So when I do feel like I want to have some juice, I just like have a sip.
Fair enough.
Maybe 2 sips. So in the past year or two, my diet's already changed. It's I feel like it is changing, and hopefully I don't feel it, right? It changes so slow over the course of the next 5-10 years that I don't even notice it. But I don't think personally I'll be able to make one big step. Like, okay, starting today, I'm not doing any more of this.
Like doing cold turkey, right? You don't like cut it cold turkey. Like it might work in some cases, but I do like experimenting with my diet. Like something I've been thinking about recently is that a lot of cultures and religions have this idea of fasting, right? Or going on diet. Like, Muslims have this idea of Ramadan where they fast for an entire month. They don't eat anything during the day, don't even drink water, and then they eat after sunset, right? Hindus are doing this thing this week, it seems like, where they're fasting. I think skipping dinner or something. I'm not really sure.
I see.
You might know more about it.
No, you definitely know more about it.
My friend is doing this, so she was telling me about it. Christians have this thing where, like you skip a meal and you pray, whatever, right? But in all these cases, right, it seems like they're trying to like reset. I mean, one thing is like they're foregoing like body desires so that they can like focus on something else. But it also seems like they're like resetting the dietary like like the metabolism in some ways. And I think there's something to that too, because there's a lot of research now about like calorie restriction, where you're intermittent fasting, where you skip maybe breakfast and you only eat during certain times of day. Maybe eat 2 meals a day, maybe even eat 1 meal a day. What are your thoughts on that? Or have you ever tried it? Because I have.
Okay, we'll get to you because we'll get to you next because you've tried, so you probably have more to say. But at this point in my life, it's mostly I just end up having one huge meal in a day. I don't have breakfast, lunch, dinner. I end up skipping breakfast.
Unintentionally, intentionally.
Unintentionally, but it's happened too long to the point. I've tried to change it. I've tried to have breakfast in the middle, but I've just
brunch.
Brunch maybe on like Saturday, Sunday, the weekends, right? But not during work days, probably not. During the days I go to the office, I have a schedule because at 11 o'clock all my colleagues get lunch, so I just go with them. Maybe I end up getting all my colleagues to lunch at 11, but and then dinners when I'm super hungry. If I'm staying at home, sometimes I even skip lunch because I don't notice it, and by the time I notice it, it's 3-4 o'clock. I'm starving, and then I'll get dinner, maybe an earlier dinner, or on the days I go to work, I'll get like a dinner at 7-8 p.m. And I feast. I have food like I have never had food before. But then this happens on a daily basis. So my reason being, okay, I didn't have any calories through the day, right? I skipped breakfast and lunch. Right. So how bad can it be?
Right. How are you going to ingest 2,000 calories is the daily limit? Maybe 3,000 depending on what your physical activities is.
So mostly I end up doing these intermittent fasting or other stuff completely unknowingly or unintentionally. I'm not like, oh, okay, I'm going to skip breakfast and lunch for this week. It just happens. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm going to say probably bad. But all these different diets that you say, I understand. Vegan diets or keto diets or all these other things, right? Intermittent fasting, so many different options. But I never really, all meat diet or all vegetarian diet, I never really understood or understand, like every diet has its ups and downs.
Agreed. 100% agree.
So I feel like, in the end I'm choosing, and I'm not that into food, or I haven't done my research that much, nor do I care to do the research that much that I would, choose, oh, this is what my body needs. This is what my body needs.
So I think like everyone's situation is different based on their body, but also their daily activity and what they're optimizing for. Back during the pandemic, I had a lot more time on my hands, so that's when I was kind of experimenting with my diet a little bit. That's when also started seriously working out. I used to go running, like once a week, and I noticed. This is when I would skip lunch, so I only had breakfast and only had dinner, heavier dinner, and some days maybe I was busy, so maybe I wouldn't get to breakfast. I wouldn't get to breakfast. Sure. And this breakfast is pretty simple, right? I'm talking like cereal, milk, and some like low sugar cereal. And I noticed that even skipping breakfast would significantly hinder my running performance. It's like it made me feel. I want to say it made me feel more thirsty because like I noticed that when I drink milk, like it's more. It quenches my thirst more, right? Like even if I drink less water during the day, like milk for some reason stays in my body longer. I feel like.
Okay, so would you have breakfast and then go for your run immediately?
No.
Okay.
No. Like
okay.
This is something I learned in high school.
Okay.
Like in between school. So I used to be in the swim team in high school. In between school and swim practice, I'd go home sometimes, and mom would make biryani, and I would love biryani, right? We both love biryani.
Yes, we do.
So I had a lot of biryani and decided to go swimming right after. Worst decision of my life, right? Like your stomach will start cramping like so bad, right? And like I feel like it's worse than water.
Remember when? So we both run every week, and remember that one week when I had really spicy chicken before I went on that run.
That's right.
And then I was like, dude, I can't do this the entire run.
But actually that's important too. So like I did that too. I would have a lot of chicken, a lot of protein. So I've read somewhere that you're supposed to eat a lot of energy, right? A lot of carbs before I run. So I eat a lot the day before I run, or even maybe like a couple of days before the run.
Sure.
But one time I did the same thing you did, where I only had like protein and carbs the day before. Like I had like grilled chicken, a couple of French fries, and I noticed that I didn't get any potassium or fiber, right?
Sure.
Like what you get from bananas or
Sure.
yogurt. And I feel like because of that, like my stomach was having a really hard time digesting all that food, right? And I think, some of that stuff is important to pay attention to. You kind of need to like run experiments on yourself. I feel like, like all these like keto diets and all this stuff is like interesting, but like you should also see if it's works for you, right?
Agreed. I'm just, for some reason, I'm just, I've looked at food in a completely different way. I've never really cared for diets or this kind of stuff. I don't know. As long as I'm sustainable and as long as I meet the doctor and they say nothing's wrong with me.
Exactly.
Like, sure, I met my doctor recently and she was like, you need to have more greens. And I was like, yeah.
Wait, why did she say that? Did you tell her that you were not eating vegetables?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, right?
That.
If people say like it's like just such a knee-jerk reaction to a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day. There's no rule anywhere that says you're supposed to eat 3 meals a day.
That's
right?
kind of true, yeah.
Like you can get away with eating 1 meal a day as long as you're eating everything you're supposed to eat.
I think it's all about adulting, right? Because I do understand that when you have a routine. So when you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like you can schedule a lot of things around breakfast. Okay, I'm gonna do this before breakfast, after breakfast, and stuff like that. Like you have a routine. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you have breakfast.
Routines are really important.
Yes, and they completely optimize the productivity in your life. They are a significant life changer. But and
you're saying like the 3 meal per day is like setting a routine for you, basically, is what you're saying.
For people, and I think I definitely can see the benefits of that, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
Because, okay, take me for example, right? I don't have breakfast or lunch, and then in the middle of the day I'm starving, and suddenly my productivity just goes down, right? Now all I'm thinking about is food because I'm starving, and now I need to order food, and then I need to order food or pick up food or cook food, let's say. That takes me an hour, and now that's 1 hour gone. And then once I cook food and eat food or order, get it, eat, that's another hour where I was starving, and then now I'm done. But then because I just got over this whole thing, my productivity that went down from let's say 80% to 0, it's not going to go back to 80%. I'm going to start building back on it, right? Whereas if I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or if I knew I was going to have lunch at a certain time, I would schedule my work productivity such that at lunchtime I would be kind of channeling down. And then after lunch, I would schedule it such that it would be channeling up. Maybe I do a new task or something else.
And it's also a social thing too, right? Like if you're going to get lunch at the office, you're gonna get lunch with your colleagues.
Exactly.
Like, if you get lunch in like let's say 4 o'clock, right?
It's
Who's gonna join you?
Exactly. It's just gonna be you. It's nice to just talk to your colleagues,
Yeah.
talk to friends, just get to know things.
But it's all based on the individual thing, right? Like 3 meals work for you, great. Bodybuilders, for example, they had to eat more than that, right? Like they had to eat 5 meals a day because they had to put in significant amount of muscles. Like this
Right.
is what Hollywood stars do before a big movie, right? If they need to be ripped, right? Like Hugh Jackman is probably
Right.
like eating so much right now for
Yeah.
the new Deadpool movie.
His last Wolverine movie, I hear.
Logan was supposed to be his last Wolverine movie, but I'm glad he's coming back. Though. I'm gonna have I'm gonna love that movie when it comes out.
And but yeah, what are did we talk about your intermittent fasting thingy, the one that you tried?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that like it's very it's like a fancy name, but all it is just like eating less,
Sure.
right? And how do you eat less? You just make sure you don't eat at certain times during the day, right? So like intermittent fasting is basically like, okay, I'll eat between this time period, right, from like 12 o'clock to like 7 o'clock,
Sure.
something like that.
Did you?
So like when I say intermittent fasting, I just mean like I skip breakfast.
Sure.
Right. And I was doing this for a long enough time where I had all 3 meals for a long enough time, which I knew my baseline.
Sure,
Right. Like
sure,
I
sure.
knew I can lift this much weight. I knew
Yeah,
I could run
yeah.
this much time, and like everything was also the same. Right.
Did
Go
you
ahead.
think it helped you, or did you like why did you stop, or did you think
Well,
it helped you?
I was optimizing for a better performance at the gym, right?
Okay.
Better physical activity, and I think it was detriment to my physical activity. Although I did lose more fat,
Sure.
right? But I also lost muscle too, and my cardio was like impacted, right? Like as
Okay.
in like it took more mental energy to like push through,
Sure.
right? When I was eating at a calorie surplus, it was so easy lifting weights, right?
Sure.
So like doing protein shakes, that kind of stuff, like it's so easy to put on muscle and
Right.
more weight.
Yeah.
Like so what are you optimizing for, right? If you're optimizing for losing weight, you just eat less.
Right.
But there is downsides to this, right? Like you said, your like productivity could go down because you have low energy.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you might just always be thinking about food.
Yeah. And it takes energy to control yourself from not having food, especially when you're hungry, right?
Yeah.
It takes energy to eat food that you don't like. It takes energy to do a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Like if you enjoy your food, sure, but then most of the food that you enjoy is like sweeter or probably worse for your health in the long run. Sweet desserts, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. Nowadays, when I go to restaurants, I don't get as many desserts, right? Before I used to be like, oh, we came out for dinner. I go out for dinner all the time, and then I'd be like, oh, we came out for dinner. So I'd have dessert.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
nowadays,
yeah.
it's like, okay, like I don't really care for dessert. Maybe I do it once a week, or even lesser.
Speaking of desserts, right? There's one dessert or candy, whatever, I really don't like: chocolate. I don't like chocolate, and this is my reasoning for why I don't like it. My mom, she gets headaches, right? And she says her triggers are strong smells or eating chocolate in particular. So when I was a kid, I associated chocolate with bad, experiences. So I said, okay, fine, I don't like chocolate either. And since I didn't eat chocolate when I was growing up, I feel like, it wasn't really. I feel like chocolate is kind of an acquired taste, kind of like coffee.
I like coffee, yeah.
In my head, they're kind of similar because they're both kind of bitter in a way.
Sure.
Like dark chocolate. So now when I eat candy or chocolate cake, it just tastes very bitter to me.
Sure.
But in also like on the flip side, I love red velvet.
Which is basically chocolate. It
So,
just looks
so
red color.
people like to debate on this. I've heard
It's
some people
100%
say.
chocolate.
I heard some people say that red velvet is chocolate, but I heard other people say it's just food coloring.
It's chocolate with food coloring.
Okay, like
Both of them are true.
we can settle this in the comment section. Like, comment below what you think red velvet is.
It's both. It's chocolate with red coloring.
I don't know, but like I feel like maybe part of me doesn't
One day we're gonna bake a red velvet cake, and then you're gonna have it, and then we'll decide if you like chocolate or if you hate red velvet. One of the two things.
We'll figure it out. But it could just be that I don't like that color, right? That brown chocolate color.
Could be, yeah, because you were a kid, so it makes sense.
I don't know. I do like I can tolerate white chocolate.
I'm also like that. I like white chocolate better than normal chocolate, and I'm not really that big a fan of dark chocolate because of its taste. But as you say, I think it's an acquired taste. A lot of people really love dark chocolate.
I wonder if like a lot of things in life is acquired taste. You know that like you don't never really know.
I think it is. A
Like,
lot of things.
We grew up eating chicken, but I wonder because like there's people who grew up vegetarian, right? And then just eating meat for them is just like so weird.
Sure. Yeah. There's people who, who had all kinds of exotic food because in their countries that's how it was.
Yeah.
But like for you, it might be super weird. For them, it's
Exactly.
just
Like,
everyday
American
food.
food is so bland compared to like what we get in other countries.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, like it's interesting. It's interesting. What are your thoughts on sushi? Like I'm not a big fan of raw meat. Because like in my head, like raw meats, like there could be diseases in there, or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe fish is like an exception. I'm not sure.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought up sushi because Indian and Japanese food are like my two opposites. It's all mental stuff, nothing to do with the food itself. Sushi, at this point in my life, I'm not really a fan, but I want to force myself to like it. That's what Japanese food is to me. Even if I don't like it, I kind of try forcing myself to like it. Start acquiring the taste. As I say, everything's an acquired taste. I like to believe that.
Yeah.
Indian food, South Indian food mostly at that is the exact opposite. Even if I liked it, I will force myself to dislike it.
Wait, why?
So when I was a kid, when I was in third grade, I think there's this dish called idli. It's a South Indian dish.
I don't like idli.
I don't like idli too. I haven't had it since third grade. But something happened, and being a kid, I was obviously complaining about, I don't like idlis. I only like other stuff. Dosas. Dosas are the only South Indian food that I eat.
Dosas are pretty good.
But my parents were there, and I was like, I don't like idlis. I'm not gonna have an idli. And that day, my dad told me, you can't survive in the world if you don't have idli, right?
What?
I made it a point. On that day, I took a vow, and I was like, I am not gonna have idlis for the rest of my life, and I will survive. I will prove to you that it's 100% possible.
You've been keeping up your promise so far.
So far.
Now the whole internet's gonna keep you accountable.
Yeah, completely fine. Same thing with yogurt. I had apparently I loved yogurt and rice till my first grade, but on
wait, like yogurt with rice.
Yogurt with rice.
Yeah, I hate that.
And
it removes the taste of the rice. Like biryani, I don't get why anyone puts yogurt in their rice. Like all the biryani taste is gone.
I don't like yogurt. Okay, I'll tell you why. In first grade, first time my parents bring yogurt with rice to my school because that's my favorite dish at that point.
At that time, okay.
I thought that was an insult because I thought my friends would judge me because I was having yogurt with rice. I don't know what was going on in my mind.
Okay.
I thought that was an insult, and I was like, I do not want. I can't believe you guys brought this. I didn't eat the food.
You thought your parents were making fun of you or like shaming you with your friends.
Something like that, right? I thought this is such a bland, simple dish. Like, I need something cooler. I don't know what went on in my mind.
Yeah.
But that day I was like, I hate this and I'm never going to have this. And ever since I never had yogurt with rice. 1-2 years I had yogurt separately and then I stopped that too. Most of the other South Indian dishes I never tried. I just feel like I won't like it. Dosas are the only things. So yeah, that's it's all like it's so yeah, that's why South Indian food is, even if I like it, I'll force myself to dislike it kinda. I do have.
That's actually an interesting point you brought up there. It reminded me of when I was in school. So I grew up in North Carolina, right? I went to demographics for that high school, middle school were mainly Americans, white Americans. And they have such bland foods, right?
Sure.
And I'm here bringing in keema or chicken curry.
Yeah.
And it's gonna smell like the microwave is gonna just really boost that smell after you warm it up. So I felt so ashamed eating this food when I was growing up,
Yeah.
I'm that one kid who's eating this weird food.
I know.
And then I think that's the reason why when I went to college, I mainly just had American food.
Right, I agree. And I think
I felt weird.
Yeah, I know. As a kid, especially when you're in the minority, you're like, everyone's going to think I'm weird. Nobody's going to talk to me. I'm not going to make as many friends. Everyone's going to judge me, this and that, right? I think now both of us and most of our friends are very different people. We don't care, right? Because when I went to undergrad,
being different is cool now.
Being different is cool now. Yeah. That's true. When I went to undergrad, so in South India, we eat with our hands. So I used to eat with my hand. But then a lot of North Indians are they used to not feel comfortable when I used to eat with my hand. I never understood because I never thought that it was weird to eat with my hand.
Right.
And then a few months in, somebody tells me, and I'm like, oh my god, that's I didn't know that. And then I had a few years where I tried eating with a spoon and knife and everything else.
It's significantly harder.
I've gotten used to it, so now I don't feel like it's difficult for me anymore. But then now I do prefer eating with my hand. Even if I'm going to a restaurant and all my colleagues at work are there,
right?
I don't think I'd really feel shy. I just go eat with my hand, and if people ask me, I'd be like, "Oh, this feels so much better. You guys have to try it, right?"
So
I market this.
Yeah. No, I like eating with my hands, but like the only reason I don't most of the time is because it's so hard to wash my hands and like get that smell out of my hands after I eat it. Like hours later, I smell fingers and said like I smell biryani, right?
Sure.
Like I if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
Like if I can get like a stronger hand soap or something, I'd love eating with hands again, right? People will assume it's because I grew up in America. It's not because of that. I eat with my hands like most of the time.
Right.
If I'm not doing anything afterwards, right?
Sure,
If I'm
sure.
like at work or something, if I had to do something, I'm like, I don't like that smell. Right?
Presenting in a meeting in the
Yeah.
middle of the meet, and suddenly like somebody's like, "Oh, why
Whiff
does it
of
smell
like
like
biryani.
But yeah,
But like Indian food has like really strong smell to it, right? Like
yes, it does.
My parents have like an outside kitchen, just for this reason, right? They only cook Indian food outside because,
Sure.
dude, like people, especially in masters, right? Like who cook inside their house, like like master students who come here from study like in American universities from India, they don't really, I guess, know the difference, right?
Yeah.
So they cook inside and they cook in the kitchens, and like
Sure.
the whole house smells like Indian food all
That's
the
true.
time.
That's
and
true.
it like sticks to their clothes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like now when you're in a class full of like mainly Indian
Sure.
people, it just smells like like bad like Indian food.
Sure.
And
sure.
like my parents were trying to prevent that, right? Like I feel like I'll do the same thing one day when I cook more. Like I'll
Sure.
try to cook outside or something. Because I think this is something that like a lot of the Indian American kids had to deal with,
Yeah.
and it kind of sucks.
I mean, we were watching the movie and you told me, right? Because this girl
Right.
was walking out, she was smelling her clothes, and you were like, "Oh, she's smelling if the curry smell is on her clothes."
Yeah, because then her friends would make fun of her.
Yeah, that was when I started thinking. I was like, "Oh wow!" Like I never used to think this when I was a kid, right? I never had this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I did come to the US, my cousin told me, "Don't cook Indian food in your dorm. Your entire house is gonna smell like."
Well, you don't
Indian
cook
food."
anyway, so it's a.
I don't cook anyway.
This
so,
is the reason why.
This is one of the reasons why. Sure. Here we are. But I guess both of us, when we order food, 50%, more than 50% of the time we do order Indian.
We do order Indian food. I mean, the Indian food in the Bay Area is really good. Like I had some really good biryani over here.
I think in the US, the Bay Area is one of the best places to get
Agreed,
Indian food,
agreed,
right? Yeah.
agreed.
When I went to India, I really liked the.
Oh,
I really
man,
like
biryani in India is like next level. Like Bay
Yeah,
Area is
yeah.
good, but Indian biryani in India, oof.
It's not just that. I mean, all Indian food is really good, right? But I also, being Indian, I also really like all the other kinds of cuisines there, because all the other kinds of cuisines have an Indian touch to it. And
Like what-
for example, let's say
Like McDonald's in India.
yeah, McDonald's in India serves biryani. Can you believe
I
that?
did- what?
Yeah, last time I went there,
Next
I was
time
like,
I go, I gotta try this.
wasn't this? Yeah, it was. I was so confused. I thought McDonald's was known for their burgers.
I mean, they don't have hamburgers in
Okay.
India because they don't eat beef in India, right?
Think about most places, 90%.
No, not in Kerala. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
But let's say you go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
Here, let's say McDonald's is bland because it's 2 buns and then some patty, right? There's like you get all these like extra spices added on top of the patty or something like that, right? It has that Indian flavor.
Yeah.
Let's say you're having dumplings here. It tastes like dumplings. There, they add a few more Indian spices or Indian sauces or something.
Masala, yeah.
Yeah, something. Even here, there's this one restaurant that serves momos, but butter chicken momos. They add that. No, momos are basically dumplings, but they add that butter chicken inside the momo. And
They
then
have
it's
some
like
weird, like the other day we had the chocolate momos, right?
chocolate momos. that
I
didn't
was
I-
telling that to one of my Chinese friends at work, and he like stopped me right there. He was like, "That's not a thing." Like,
Oh, really?
Like chocolate dumplings. Like, what? Who came up with this?
I thought that was a Chinese thing.
Seems like it's
because that
not
was
a-
the alleged Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, these fusion things are interesting though, right? Like, what's that one place? Curry Up Now.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do like Indian burritos.
Oh yeah.
Like it's so weird. Like these like fusion stuff. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, one of my colleagues was telling me about this other one called Sushi Rito, which is like burrito plus sushi. So I haven't had it. He
Burrito
recommended that.
plus
Yeah.
sushi.
I've seen it, but I've always seen it after I've had food, so I never went there. But yeah, there's so many different fusions. I feel like there's so many more things we can talk about.
We can talk about so much regarding food,
Yeah.
right? And diets and like how it relates to like life and working out. But you know, like at the end of the day, it kind of relates to like what you want to optimize for, right? If you
What do you want to optimize for? I guess that covers what do you like. Do you want to optimize for tasty food or
if you're living to eat or eating to live, you know, that matters too.
Yeah, living to eat, 100%. Yeah, living to eat. I had to think about that so that I said the right thing.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing, but yeah. I think there's so many different things, and I feel like even today we were kind of jumping between a lot of things. There's still so much more I can think of and talk more.
We might do a follow-up episode, but for now, like I think we should end it.
We've reached our mark.
It's also time for us to get dinner ourselves. So.
Yes, we are going to order right now, right after this episode.
Yes.
But yes, signing off, Surya Ramesh and
John Ravi.
Two Brown Accents.
Two Brown Accents.
See you guys.
Like, subscribe, comment below. Share with your friends.